Reminder, meeting being recorded, roll call of town, village and town board. Jake?
Here.
Doug?
Here.
Brian Ballinger, not here yet? Or excused, I'll put excused for now. Lawrence is not here. Snyder?
Here. Barb,
Oh.
excuse.
Okay, yep. And Shirley?
Here.
Here. Harold?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
Penny?
Here.
Fred?
Here.
George? Here. Dawn is here. With that, can we all rise and pledge flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just as new business, I don't know. Everything's new business, I guess, at this point. Or that under the refuse. That was one of the head topics, I guess.
Well, that's what I think that you said.
That's what was brought forward, a question from the populace, actually.
Right.
Concern just as to how to go forward and how to make that transition from the garbage stickers, how far
It's
to
not
go
gonna,
forward.
it's not gonna
Well,
change much.
okay.
Go ahead, you can go.
Well, I met with Ted from Frank's Disposal this afternoon, and he's interested in moving forward with the current contract that the village has as far as the disposal. He's willing to extend the current contract with the village to the town after 12/31 of 18, and then with the town at the first of the year, and then with the possibility of extending it for another through that rest 2019. There would be no cost. We would be looking at that if the tags that people had purchased, that we would reimburse the residents that had purchased the tags. We would reimburse them those tags after the first year if they had previously bought them. But he's willing to, they say, continue picking up the garbage in the entire village with the recyclables. He's mentioned a couple things that he'd like to, have us stress that they're looking at a 4-bag-a-week limit. The weight of the bag should be 25 to 30 pounds max. And he's gonna come out with some information about recycling, about the bottles and et cetera, because just to verify to the residents what's recyclable. Because he's getting a lot of items that are in the recycle bins that are not recyclable, and Kim don't really, if they check on them, then they have to go ahead and take care of it there. But pretty much that's where it was, what he'd be at there. And we were, as been made aware of, that we were anticipating of covering the entire cost of the garbage with the use of the additional sales tax that we'll start receiving from the after January 1.
It's good to hear, Harold, thank you, and I might add that Frank's Disposal's done an admirable job in the village for a good many years now, so I'd like to pass that along, but I'd like to see him continue to do so. He's a local entity.
Right.
Thank you for that.
And again, we would naturally come out with a letter in advance. I don't know, pick a time frame, if it's November or whichever, and let all the residents know that they no longer would have to contract with any other haulers,
Right.
that they could cease that, the contract with them, or have to pay them, and that the entire village would be picked up by Frank's with the recyclables.
Excellent.
Well, it's still at the resident's discretion. If they don't, they can still carry on their, if they
Well,
have a separate.
they'd have, if they would want
If they
to.
want to spend the money, yeah.
Correct, but you know,
Yeah. Indeed.
you don't want it to turn to say, oh, now you're forcing me. No,
No.
it's your discretion, I guess, to say.
Oh, thank you.
Here's your options.
Well done, I think that answers all the questions on that topic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On the streetlights, we're just gonna pretty much put it in the general fund, because you know, the street lights aren't gonna get turned off when the town outside the village person walks in the village. So we're gonna have everybody pay for that particular portion of it. Cause all town residents will benefit from street lights no matter where they are, and that sort of thing. The sidewalks are, you know, either with CHIPS funding or the sales tax funding. If there's something that needs to be done sidewalk wise, it'll be funded that way, so that it isn't out of the, what do you wanna call, outside village people paying for that part of it. So it's not gonna really be a district, but it's gonna be still taken care of. The only special district will be water. You know, we gotta have a special district for the water. And, you know,
Go ahead with that, okay?
But on that note, if we can, continue rolling along, how far along are we in forming a water district?
With what?
With forming a water district?
We have.
we're just talking about it
We
tonight,
just
so.
met tonight. Basically, what we, I guess, worked through so far, that we're going to work with Heather Gable to become the operator of the system. Heather, with the assistance of the town clerk, will read the meters, bill, handle all operation of the system. Penny Flora and myself will serve on the water board. If there's any interested from the village board would like to be, or residents would like to be on the water board, would be appreciated to have more input into it. The rates, as adjusted by the village, will stay in effect until May 31st, 2019. At that time, with the assistance of Kathy Reese from the RCAP Solutions and the Elmar Water Board, will consider adjusting the water rates, hydrant fees accordingly. We are looking at the possibility or considering, instead of having a district tax, that we may bill the hydrant fee monthly. It's an option, that's what we're just looking at as an option. Heather would, you know, she'll like to, you know, the opportunity, you know, to inspect, you know, the material, the parts and et cetera prior to 12/31 in order to assure everything that's required in operating of the maintenance is in stock, you know, from word go. And I think we've met with Heather, we have her list of qualifications, and I think she's done, as far as we find out, and the same with the village, a very admirable job as far as the experience as a water operator. We have all the confidence in the world of moving forward with that. But to say the water district, that's something that will help with Laberge Group will help us.
We'll do a map plan report for it, we'll get that scheduled quickly. You don't have to have another vote because you had the referendum already, so the state office of controller's office has already agreed that that's all covered. Because we're not extending it at this point, so the boundaries are staying the way it is.
One thing that will be important as part of that map plan report is understanding the debt that goes with the district. So if the village is going to pay off other assets or sell other things to reduce that debt, that debt will need to be accurately reflected in the map plan report. So just something to, as close as we can, but just trying to keep that in mind. So if you know of a payment, that'll go towards it.
So, Mary, by the way, you met me before Ben's side, but you haven't met Nicole Allen. So Nicole Allen is the Director of Planning for Laberge Group. She's worked with numerous municipalities through the implementation process of the dissolution and consolidation. So, just so you know who she is.
Thank you.
Some random person.
Well, we applied for a grant, some time ago, I guess it just got put in on the first Thursday or however it works, a month, to help us through the dissolution plan. And in part of that plan, it could be partly in the water part of it, that well, maybe we need to have water meters on hand, or, you know, that's why we need an inventory of what you might have. Because we could purchase water meters or different parts of this system that we might need. We might be able to do flow testing for the ISO readings for the insurance companies and have that process taken care of, and part of that would be paid for by the grant. I guess according to this guy here, you can apply for the same $50,000 grant to help through this thing, whether money would be put toward changing the village building into a library. There would be, ways to change the construction of the thing, so it'd be more applicable for computers wise and for having the books in there and that sort of thing. And on our portion, if the library does move up there, this portion back here might be able to use for the food cupboard with another electric meter back there, and they can have their freezers back there and their refrigerators and that sort of thing, so that's still taken care of. All these kind of things are beneficial for the area, you know, and, you know, it would behoove you to go for the same kind of grant so that that money could be used, $100,000 in Venetton instead of 50, you know. It'd be more money to be used in ways that, you know, they'll even explain what we could use the money for.
One of the things we had talked about earlier, and now that we're here, that it's an opportunity, and I said it with Ben here, and he said, anytime the state's gonna give out money that we both can apply for, it's a simple process, and through what we're trying to do here, the money's essentially gonna be implemented to help defray a lot of the cost and do certain studies and certain things that we may need to complete this dissolution. And it doesn't occur anything onto the taxpayers, you know. So in my mind, they're giving you the money, it's just a matter of doing the paperwork and helping the public get a lot of things done. One of the things that we talked about of importance was the library and utilizing that building up there to move the library. The grant would cover the feasibility study, everything we would need. We're also working with the county library district, been talking with Brian Highland and through the county executives, getting with the library district and starting to work towards getting money through the New York State Library Construction Fund, or what that process will incur. I think Brian offered up tonight that if there's any other money that we would need in that, they would offer their assistance in the bridge loan again in that aspect. And I think it's a really great idea of taking this space out here. A feasibility study would also be part of that, utilizing that space, and if it is the food cupboard, you know, that, I think that's an excellent idea. I know that has been something you have talked about with the food cupboard, or I think Kermit, right? Kermit,
Yeah.
So, you know.
And if that space is not applicable, there might be another space that is, and that would be part of that study.
It's a relatively painless application. You already have the basic grants gateway paperwork already in. So it is, and it's retroactive to the date that you accepted and adopted your plan. So the attorney fees that you already incurred since April all count. So I highly recommend that every community that participates goes with the money because the state's giving it out. And I saw Paul on Thursday, and we had lunch together because he was coming through all of them. Paul and I have known each other for years. He's been a consultant for us, sub-consultant, we've been a sub-consultant for CGR. He says that right now, he has him in charge of writing that application. If you need assistance, we can help. If he doesn't, that's absolutely great, but I'd highly recommend that everybody goes for that. It's $50,000 each community to cover any expense.
Paul Bishop from CGR, right?
Yes.
I only say with a question mark because I haven't seen him since June 6th.
Okay. I saw him as the first, I saw him
I
as
just
the
thought I'd
first.
make that note.
Okay.
As far as he's been doing a consulting firm for us, we won't go into that right now.
Okay, I'll leave all that out, but if you need,
I
Mayor,
just laid it all out too, didn't
if you need any assistance, Mayor, we're drafting there, so we'd be happy to help you as well. If not, surely, it's a relatively painless application to put in. Any items that you guys feel that is important to you, even Department of State will help you fill out the paperwork, and it goes in the first Wednesday of every month. But it is retroactive, so I know you probably had some legal fees involved, that all gets covered out of that. Anytime that, for example, Shirley or you or anybody has in working on your tasks, that's reimbursable out of the program as well.
So your
So-
staff time is eligible, so if Shirley had to do extra or make copies or go through files, that time can be accounted for and reimbursed.
So any audits, anything you want.
Thank you both.
You know, the other thing we haven't mentioned was the cemetery. And there's a lot, you know, there's, talking with Shirley and about there's some, you know, I don't, maybe not issues with confusion, maybe up in some in the spots in the cemetery where the lots have been sold. That maybe there's, as part of that grant money could be used to have the firm come in and map things, I don't know.
That would be a very good utilization, Harold, because those of us that have dealt with issues, you endearingly call them issues, but what they are family members that you have to deal with for these issues that have occurred in the past generations that come to light when you dig a hole, simply put. And to deal with a group of family members that have to endure that is I wish it upon no one. And it is all because of a lack of record keeping from the
Over the
1800s
years.
forward. We can't accept blame for it all we can do is deal with what's left over. And there has been issues, some very sentimental and emotional issues that we've dealt with. And to go forward, we have looked in the past at, what was the name of the firm, Crypt Keepers, and trying to alleviate these concerns. And what we thought we were going forward in a solution turned out to be a dead end, just a bunch of transferred paperwork to, you know, electronic data, and which was absolutely no use to us at all. What you mentioned too before about the possibility of, you mentioned like metal detectors.
Right.
It really doesn't work with all, but
No.
what it needs is there's sonar technology out there that shows displacement, and they can map it out. It is a costly procedure. We have looked at it, and
The grant would help
it
with that.
would take that sort of mind to undo that. But I believe that's the only way to go forward, is to know what's underneath there, and so you can map it out and plot it out accordingly. And then you can have a sales plan as to how to market it. So, just saying that it's a good way to go forward.
You know how many lots you'll have left too.
Right, yeah, that's the
Finite
idea.
number of lots up there,
Yeah.
and that's an unknown today.
Yeah,
But again, it would be, might be an opportunity to move forward on that, is to,
Absolutely. So that's the way to go forward on it. Some of us know better than others. All right.
Trying to think, he just came here and he didn't hear everything.
I had to work.
Yeah, right, that's fine, you know, everybody gotta work. And, one of the things we were talking about, if there is a water board, we're gonna establish Penny and Harold. And if there's somebody else that wanted to join the same board, you know, put your interest in, if you are or not, and so that we know about it and, you know, can move forward on whatever happens. And any other issues there might be, do you know of any issues that you might have?
I know, you know, I take care of the 811.
Right, sure.
And all the mowing at the water tower, and, I haven't in a while with the postings of the, you know, the shut-offs and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, that sort of thing, you know, who knows?
I think Heather's mentioned, you know, that you have done that in the past. And
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
I've
would
been
be receptive to it, she would still like to, you know, keep you involved in it.
Yeah.
So.
One thing, as we talked about, you know, lighting sidewalks and stuff like that, I had also mentioned over the few months as we were as we keep leading into this, of wanting to have input from village residents on that fact, whether we established another just small committee, a couple people on the board here with some residents from the village to give input on sidewalks and lighting and certain things that they see that could be handled, you know, to consult with the board so we can go out there and whatever we need to do to make that happen, you know, and work together and try to maintain everything we still have in the village, you know, but, you know, we want the input from village residents, and, you know, and I've bounced around a few ideas of whether we called it, you know, the Venetton Department of Public Works Committee, something like that, you know, just something where, you know, you meet quarterly or you meet, you know, whatever, and then just real quick, what's going on, what's happening, what do we need, whether it's bleeding into budget time, what we need to budget next year, things like that. You know, it's something to think about, we're still thinking about it, but, you know, I wanted to throw it out there for interest purposes. It could be any of you gentlemen, anybody from the village, residents.
It'd be nice to throw it out to the community and just see what.
Right,
what kind of,
right, so I'm, you
interest
know,
you-
so we're here tonight, and that's why I kinda threw it out there. And it's not something, I have all the ideas on, it's something that we can continue to brainstorm on and come up with something that, you know, that everybody's involved in the capacity and has their say, you know, of the true leadership of the village moving forward still, you know, that is, you know, is dealt with, you know, worked with the village and people in their positions.
There's a shared services meeting this week, Wednesday there with the county, and they're talking about street lighting and Big Flats and Elmira and them sort of places. I wanna go to the meeting, I have to go anyway, but
You get that notice also?
to try to include the village of Benetton and the possibility of changing our things into LED lighting and cut costs, and, you know, there's all kinds of avenues available there, and if it's on a shared services basis, it's more cost effective and all that kind of thing, but, and it maybe won't fly anyway, but if it does, that would be the way to do it, and, you know, and if it works perfect, you know, but.
And if you have any savings, you get a check from the government.
Right, everything that we save, we get
Only next year.
matching funds, only the first year. And so that's why we gotta, you know, try to move forward on it now. And, you know, you save $10,000, you're getting an extra $10,000 from the state, just because you saved it. And for what, that seems absurd to me, but that's the way the state works. You know, they want to give you money, okay, we'll take it. You know, it behooves us to keep going and try to get things going on that avenue. So, we're gonna work with that kind of things, we've been working with the county, even on the water parts of it, you know, who knows? They're not ready to come in on shared services with the water yet for another year yet, so, we're gonna do it here locally first, and if it works out that it might be better to be with the county, you know, maybe that's the way we'll go, but we don't know that yet.
So Roger, with that being said, this year, so the shared service panel was a 2017 edict from the legislature and the governor. We had to create them last year, the plans. He gave us the opportunity this year in 2018 for counties to amend their plans, so any savings 2019. If he keeps that in next year, we'll know in the budget. You may have the opportunity to re-amend your plan in 19, any savings you have in 20 would get reimbursed as well. So we're hopeful that he's gonna keep his track record going forward, since he's forcing the counties to do it. We'll find that out in a few months.
Yeah. Well,
So that's shared
they're gonna sign
services.
that contract, their agreement to be on that program now, this week. So that's why we're going over, so, there's one Wednesday at 2 o'clock, I guess. Yeah, and then, after that, they prepare the plan, basically, they want the towns to kick in and whatever villages that sign their names on the documents. And so when it all goes through, they can apply for it, I think, the 15th or later, I can't remember.
The state legislation requires that all counties' shared service plans be submitted to the Division of Budget by 9/15, by September 15th.
That's what 15, that's what I heard,
Yeah.
okay.
It also requires that only the chief elected official can attend the final meeting for a vote. You cannot have a deputy mayor or a deputy
Right,
supervisor. If they come, they can give you, we approve it, but we can't vote on it, so you vote absent.
Right,
But every mayor, every supervisor.
yes. So that's why it's important to go if you can, you know, I don't care if you can't go, but if you can go, please do it and vote for it, because there's 600,000 better dollars that they can get, and, other monies will trickle down.
I think some of
They
it,
need everybody to sign it, I think.
So Harold, the way the law states is that every CEO has to come. If they don't come, they're absent, but they can't send a delegate. If you vote no on the plan, you have to submit a letter detailing why you voted no. So it's a yes or a no with a letter.
Right.
And
That's
I,
why I could hope you to vote yes.
and I believe when I read the email.
It's not binding, so.
No.
And I believe, when I read the email, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to jog my memory when I read it last week, that some of this stuff they vote on yearly to continue, I believe.
That's what I was just saying
Right.
before, that, the plan, in 2017 state budget and legislation, it was required that every county convene a shared services panel, convened by the chief elected official of the county, being the county executive, or chairman of the county legislature or board of supervisors. That person doesn't get any additional weight or vote. Every town supervisor and mayor are required to be part of the panel. They can send designees to the panel meeting except for the final vote. School districts, BOCES, and other participants are invited but not required to attend. So any special district, only the supervisors and mayors. That plan was submitted last year. Counties had the right last year to submit a plan or to waive it and do it in 2018, since they only had half a year. In this year's 2018 budget, they made shared service panels mandatory and continuous. So every year the panels have to go. In 2018's budget, they gave counties the opportunity that submitted last year to amend their plan and have additional projects in 2019 to have those savings. So any savings in your plan in 2019 will be matched. My hope again is that they do it again this year, so any additional things that come out. So each year new things come to bear.
Right.
Every year, you know, all these towns and villages and counties already working at the most maximum way they can. However, through more cooperation and through more discussion, new things come to bear as opportunities. So the governor this year allowed us to put them back in for additional funding, and hopefully do it again next year.
My sense is with the governor, how, and what he says in campaigns on, is that, you know, I think, and how he kinda does things, is that he will try to continue the program, and maybe up the ante a little bit as he moves forward to keep the encouragement going.
There's a little bit of carrot and stick going on.
Yes. That's how he can.
Well, that's the same thing with this program that you had mentioned earlier. That he likes to see consolidation of sharing services, so in this particular situation, with the village and town, that $50,000 grant is a giveaway. Basically, you chose to go forward this way, here's 50,000, here's 50,000, move forward. Future work out of that, there are additional services you share with the county or another town. You have other eligible grant programs through the local government efficiency program that pay either 50 or 90%. But that's his, forcing you to work together, but here's some cash.
So, maybe we ought to move into communications from audience. Anybody in the audience want to address the board? Yeah.
No, thank you.
Heather, you want to address it? No, okay. Fred?
Not today.
Not today, okay.
When it's the town,
Would you like to address
then
the
I'll
board?
talk.
Huh?
When it becomes the town's entity totally, then I'll have something to say.
Okay, very good. Did you want to address the board?
Good for the moment.
Are you okay, Don? Ed? No, I can't see him back there. You're all set? Everybody's good? You're good too? Everybody's good? All right. That's-
I'd like to say, I'm just impressed.
Oh, there you go. I didn't, you're tagged by the camera.
That's all right. I just want to say I'm impressed with how much it sounds like it's coming together here, and thank you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's behooves us, you know, this is an unusual takeover, or whatever you wanna call it, the budget process even. And, we've been already working on it a month early than we normally do. And so, we've been working on how it's applied in our budget this year and different things. And we wanna make sure that as best as we can, we're not professionals or anything there, but we wanna try to do it right. And if we can do it right, we're gonna win big time, you know, and we're very trying to do that. That's our process.
And I think that was one of the reasons we hired Laberge Group,
Right. to
applied
help
for the
us.
grant to help us through there, because as we've all stated before, I'm not an accountant, a lawyer,
Right.
not versed in law of state and government law, so, you know, all of a sudden, here we are, and we need the advice of the professionals that we can get through this.
Yeah, Jim?
Sorry, I'm late thinking of things.
No, go ahead.
You know, we have been hosting the Red Cross Blood Drive,
Sure.
even numbered months in the, village, center. And the next one comes up in October. I've notified the Red Cross that the future is uncertain. I
Right.
didn't say, you know, forget about it or anything like that, but,
We would,
but if we
We can
want to
post
keep
it
doing
here
it
no
in the
matter what.
village center, I'm glad to keep opening the
well,
doors
we
for
would
them 6 o'clock in the
anticipate
morning.
that, to be honest with you, I mean, that was one of the.
If it's an ongoing thing, you know,
It's every,
why not
every,
keep it going?
every
If that's,
numbered month, and we have, for our little community, a respectable turnout, and it's a much needed,
right, that benefits everybody. See, that's a win-win system.
just wanted to throw that in the hat. The other thing is that, as some of you may know, the village has a website. I don't think the
I
town
don't go on
does.
websites or anything like that, so I don't know.
And, I'm glad to help with the transition if the town wants to take on that website. I can't remember, Clerk Close might know how far ahead we're paid up on the name of the site, but it's, yeah, that, the name might have to be changed a little bit, because right now it's VEBNY.US, which is not too blatantly village, but it's, you know, so, net village. And at some point you might want to change it. I think we still own that for several years. You know, we bought the cheapest per year basis, the guy that, you know, like a 8-year deal or something like that.
Right,
And,
you know,
the site itself has no annual fee, because it's
it
moving.
won't benefit me personally, because I don't do that sort of thing on computers and that, but I do realize that there are a lot of people in the community that do look at that sort of thing.
It can be useful. For instance,
Yeah.
at your last town meeting, you talked about what number do we call for Neils if we find them? Well,
Oh.
our website has that right up on the front page.
Oh.
It has that contact number, and we've had it there for quite a while. I mean, we didn't just put it there in response to that discussion. It's been there for a while.
Right,
And, you know, it also contains other documents, like earlier tonight you were talking about Frank's wanting to issue something to remind people of what is acceptable and what's not
Yeah.
acceptable for recycling. That's on the website, and so forth. I won't go on.
One thing we've been discussing is, been discussing it with the highway superintendent about, you know, over the years, there's been dumpster days and brush pickup and all that. We're having an opportunity here where we're getting ready to have the purchase finalized on the land next to the, highway department that was owned by Bill. And, we're looking to use that property as kind of that, for dumpster day, brush pickup and all that. We're looking at a few things to how we're gonna do that, and we're talking maybe doing it a couple times a year, affording everybody in the village, like we always did, bring down, the brush, and if they can, I guess, you know, do the curbside stuff still and all that. But, and having a control over it, you know, and keeping the dumpsters down there, bringing the dumpsters down on that Saturday, and, you know, so we're looking into all that to continue all that. Just gonna utilize the property for that entity, so. And whatever else we gotta use it for.
I heard your meeting online the other day a little bit, and I knew you were a little worried about the meters. You said something about, oh, we're gonna take over, we might have to replace all these meters, but I wanted to assure you that we have been, I get a report every month when I do the meter reading of either zero reads or unread meters, and I give that report to Scott, and he goes out and checks them out. And we have a good inventory of meters that are down there. And besides that, he has been getting the replacement kits to redo the transponders. So if he has to replace a transponder, he can, instead of throwing that away, he can rebuild it. So we have that, and the meters are pretty much kept up to date. I mean, there's always something new that happens, so it's not like you're gonna take over and you're gonna have all these meters that are.
well, this water woman, whoever she was, Reeves, she suggested that after 10 years, you know, you might wanna get on a rotation plan or change meters and this and that. Well, if it's just the battery, you know, you can change batteries, or if it happens to be the meter itself, well, maybe we should change the meter, but, you know, she brought up all this information that I wasn't aware of, you know. And
So
she
we
was,
do have a plan for that, and it has
Right.
been happening, so it's not, you're not gonna have to come in and.
Yeah, that's another thing I had on the back page down in here.
So that was part of the grant money we could utilize.
Oh, there's a couple things on this page. Is there special insurance for the skate park? Maybe there is.
That's special.
It's just on a blanket, so, okay. Now, I know Anthony talked to the village, I guess, about flushing meters with a, not meters, what do they call it?
Hydrant.
Hydrants. To get a flow test with a special meter that comes from the state, and they'd be flow tested to see how fast they flow for ISO readings for the insurance companies. Also with this grant thing that we got, that would help pay for that sort of thing. I know it ain't gonna be a huge amount of money, but at least to get flow tested and they're rated and, you know, they're numbered, I guess. You probably have numbers for your hydrants already?
Yes.
So, as long as there be a map of hydrant numbers and they had flow testing, this guy from, I guess it's ISO, I don't know, but he was given hints of how to get a better rating. We got one of the better ratings of anybody in the area already, but he says this is how to make it better. And with that flow testing, there's a cost to do that sort of thing. But with this grant money, it'll help pay for that. So, you know, there's all kinds of ways to skin a cat, I guess, and get better insurance ratings. And
Point of information, I believe we own the equipment to do the flow testing, don't we, Heather? It's in the bottom drawer of the cabinet
There's
down
a
there.
kit there, but I believe it has to be done by an outside entity or
Yeah, and it's gotta be
certified to do it.
Okay,
state meter, yeah, I know.
I'll be still.
You know, I had a class there for pump testing down in Waverly there, and they had these fancy meters there, and they said we're flowing 900 gallons a minute. I'm going, holy Christmas. But, you know, they're special meters and what have you there, so. And that's another part of it. I already talked about the LED lights, meters, and the park. So, I guess the park would be covered under the town blanket policy, right? Because we have that sort of thing.
Yep.
So, is there, lack of a better thing, is there a plan, I don't know, if it's maintenance plan or whatever for skate park?
We've had it on the budget for the last couple of years to reseal it, but that's the only thing that's pending, is that it could use a reseal. It's not decomposing.
Maybe somebody you could do in kind service.
It would take it well into the future.
Oh, I
Spill
can,
that
yeah.
much at some sites. You guys spill that much at some of your sites.
Probably. If we can get back in there with the truck, that's the key.
It's 10 foot wide.
Oh,
Yeah, it
nice.
could be done.
So I guess that's all I can think of at this point. I had them notes on there.
If you think of it, we went ahead at our last workshop and we scheduled some workshops in between our regular meetings. So we're gonna have on September 27th a workshop. And then on November 4th, we're going.
October 4th.
4th, I'm sorry. That Nicole's gonna come down and meet with us here. And then we're gonna have another workshop on October 25th. So these are gonna be kind of between our meetings, so.
These are all at 5:30?
No, 7 o'clock.
What
For the
is at
fourth.
5:30?
The fourth one,
No, October 4th is 5:30.
Is it at 5:36?
5:36. Jake, I said the 5:30-6, it can't be 5:36.
Sorry. But that's at 5:30. We must have been at 7 o'clock, so,
Because as we go along, you know, and you leave this meeting, you're gonna go, oh, I didn't mention this. You know, write it down and keep the loops of what might need to be said and not said, and, you know, that sort of thing. And anything that benefits the whole area, that's a plus, you know.
we were in hopes that Brian Highland was gonna be back. He said he had to run to a legislators meeting, and he said if we could hold off a little bit, delay the.
Yeah, I know, so he can get back
try to
there in
get
time.
So he's, was trying, and he had some, he's gonna meet with, Cruzen, I think, he asked for some information. I was hoping he would be back to give us a little bit of their,
As you're waiting for Brian though, because Nicole mentioned before the map plan report and understanding the debt associated with the water district, and I think your plan said that any assets are gonna pay down any water debt first. Is there any plan for the sale of any village assets before the 31st?
It's an ongoing process at this point that just started at the elapsing of our 45-day wait
Right.
period for the petition. Purchase offers have been made, and others are to be entertained. As far as a plan, no, by no means is there a plan.
What I mean by that is that some villages there in towns work together, so okay, I don't know what you have, let's just say you had a certain bobcat they were using for certain DPW type functions or sidewalk functions, and they can use it afterward. Some villages just sell everything, and some share, it's okay, since you're gonna be using it, you stay. Even like your library / village hall, community center building. I asked, the last village you worked with, Massey Beach, they did a complete, everything went, even I mentioned before, there's a picture of the gazebo going down the street on a flatbed.
Right. Well, and as much as a plan, there is a part of our dissolution plan presented by CGR. There are integral parts of equipment like the John Deere and all of its components down to the shed. That's going forward to the town to help maintain sidewalks.
Okay.
And that is a part of the plan, but all other items are to be liquidated, and whatever real estate can be liquidated or should be liquidated is being looked at hard.
Do you have an auction, did you contract with an auction company to help you with that?
No, no. What we have is 7 parcels, but some of them would not, obviously, not make sense to sell.
1/3 of an acre.
Right, and then on the other end of the spectrum are the 2 4-acre lots for where our wells sit, our 8-acre lots are remaining. So that wouldn't make sense, it wouldn't make sense to sell the parcel that's separate for the village parking lot. And a couple others, so there are a few that are out in no man's land, but there's others that are looking at the other side of the strip of Alderman Field, the parking area. We swapped a piece of it years ago for the piece of the skate parks that's on. But we have a little strip where the apple orchard is, 3 apple trees and 1 pear tree, that still belongs to the village. To whose benefit would that be, other than the school? I don't see it. But
Half acre.
right, right. So it is being looked at, but we're not talking an awful lot of money.
If you want, we can just, I don't even know the people that did Massey Beach, I don't know if it was Color City or State Auction, but they even sold paper, they sold their staplers, they did a big lot sale of their cabinetry, of their desks. We haven't spoken, so I don't know if there's any thoughts to that. If you like those names, we could share the ones that do that.
Well, we'd be receptive to that. At this point, any consulting that we could receive would be welcome.
Okay.
But we also own the fire station itself, that we've had bids on,
Yeah.
offers on that, we're waiting on.
And that's not easy either,
No.
because,
The next bag, the town offered, made an offer, we've also had a private entity make an offer, and we've got another parcel. I actually talked to Kermit this afternoon about it, and they're waiting to try to get some grant money, they would like to own it, to put a food pantry in there, which I think would benefit, again, the Spencer and that area, and be good for all the communities. But you weigh that against how much they can give you versus what we're gonna do for that difference towards taxpayers. And actually, to answer your question about the monies that we do save, I guess I'm torn about whether we pay down debt or we use that for maintenance fees, because debt's a long-term debt at a low interest rate. It may not be in our best interest to pay that off, but that money may be better interest to hang on that, have a fund balance to offset any unexpected expenditures in the water system.
It's good you mentioned, what does Salem do with their water? Do they have a separate account for the water maintenance after they?
They did, they had to create an account specifically for the maintenance.
Yeah.
That was not in place at the time.
But I mean, so whatever fund, but the money that we do accrue over sales of any of our assets will go in towards
A water district.
defraying some costs, I'm sure.
Right.
But I don't
Something's
think
gonna break someday.
paying down the loan
That's right.
would not be in the best interest of that money.
My understanding is you think you have a 4% low interest loan through USDA? Excuse me, that you have right now.